try to do a show tonight without offending nobody, okay? I'm gonna try my best. You know why? Because you never know who might get triggered. That's right, you say the wrong thing, motherfuckers get scared. Gotta watch out. You know what people say? They always say, words hurt.
Words hurt. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the world famous Nando Thoughts podcast, brought to you by, of course, my chick and my kids. Man, I had so much lined up for this podcast, and in between preparing for this podcast, I've seen some of the most horrible, disgusting, sad human behavior that's happening among our young people. And like I said, prior to me jumping on this podcast, I was going to go in a whole different direction. But I decided that I might touch on some of the thoughts of what I've seen just going through my phone. I was looking at some reels. I was looking at some videos of some crimes happening in our communities among young people, and it was just so disturbing. It was just so disturbing to watch them kill each other. And it was unbelievable because now this has become part of our entertainment in our community, in our society. It's so devastating. The last video I watched, it was of a young rapper walking his family, his children, his girl, just taking a walk in his community, and a car pulled up, and the guys came and, ambushed him. Just horrifying. Just horrifying. But then I thought about it. I said, how do I get to watch this as entertainment? Or how do I get to watch this in the public space so easily that this is not appalling to our community as a breach of standards to our society, that we watch people murder each other in our communities, and we watch young people running around with guns slaughtering each other and culturally making them appropriate and cool to perform and respond to some type of conflict by killing people or killing each other. How do we get to this point in our society? I came up in D.C. when D.C. was the murder capital. So I understand the pain that this kind of behavior and coming from this kind of community really creates, the long-lasting effects of the outcomes of people that's been affected by these actions. And it's just a sad situation that this cycle is continuing to repeat itself. And how do we, in our communities, continue to fall prey to this behavior? How? And why do we hate each other so much? And why are we killing each other over things that don't even matter? Why? Why are people dying over chains? Why are people dying over shoes? Why are people dying over just clout, something that's not even nothing? Why? I'm an older guy now, so I understand how life works a lot more than I did when I was younger. So I appreciate it a lot more. And I understand young people are impulsive, and they're really not tuned into their emotions, and so their response to sometimes are not always, the right response. But to be so desensitized to slaughtering and murdering people, it's just, it's just weird to me. Because we are all human. We all have these emotional connections to being humankind, So to have that total way to disconnect and program yourself not to feel any emotions about what you're doing because of whatever triggered you to get to that point is a weird place to be at. And I also remember coming up there was a lot more physical connection to the violence. So it wasn't where you can just get out and shoot at people and run away. There's not fighting like it used to be anymore. There's not direct contact like it used to be anymore. And when it was that, it was less of this, because these people really don't have to confront what they fear. They can stand a block away or whatever and just poof, poof, and shoot away, and it don't solve the problem though. It really don't solve the problem. We have so many killers walking around in our communities, and none of us are safe. None of us are safe. I don't care what community you live in. We have so many community killers right now. And how do we resolve this? Do we police this? Do we, I don't know. I don't even know what the solution is, because it's so all over the place. I literally went down a rabbit hole of reels and videos, and it was one after another. The young boys riding around with these guns, young girls with guns, young gangs with guns, blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking to myself, none of these people, not one of them, are doing anything productive with their lives. Not one of them are doing anything to prepare them for a future. Not one of them. Not one of them have any type of skills that can generate them some type of wealth and money or a livelihood. Not one of them. They just want to ride around with guns and shoot at each other. And what is the true cost in our community? Now, other than just the loss of life, what is the true cost of our young people being so caught into this vicious cycle of violence and gang life, and the real price that we have to pay as a community? What is it? And this is not just a lock them up solution. This is not that. This is not that. You can't just lock everybody up. It's not going to work. We got to figure out a way to communicate to our young people that there's more to life than just slaughtering each other or being afraid of each other. And there's more to life, and there's a better way. But I don't know, how do we get there? I have no idea. Yeah, man, it was just sad to watch it. It really was. It was sad to watch it. And I was thinking to myself, watching that guy with his family get ambushed, get slaughtered in the street in front of his young children, and his wife or fiance or whoever she is to him, the mother of his kid, obviously. I'm not going to say the rapper's name. I'm not going to do that. But the video is online, and it's disgusting. And what role do our multimedia companies have in helping shape our cultural message to our young people? And how can they be better community partners and not promoting or letting these type of videos air, online? Because we do have to desensitize ourselves to some of these things. We do have to desensitize ourselves to, a lot of this happening, because we got to be aware. So in order to be aware, you have to be desensitized to it. I mean, it's just, that's the facts. You can sit there and call yourself, I'm not going to, have it in my front of my face, but it's there, and we need to know about it. But man, it's a weird balancing act we dealing with right now. We kind of going like this, and like I said, I just don't know what that is, because I don't live in that world. I'm not in the gang life. I don't live in the gang world. I always thought the gang culture was something weird to me. I never thought it showed strength. I just never thought it showed strength. I always thought it was a sign of weakness, a sign of following, a lack of confidence by considering yourself to have to be a part of a gang to feel strength. But it's the pack mentality, clearly. Yeah, it just wasn't my time and my generation either, so it wasn't a thing that we really got caught up in. So maybe it's that as well. But I just think it's weird that, these young guys are running around and celebrating the fact that they're tied into some type of cultural cult, because that's what it is. A gang is a cult in a sense, that you believe and you say and you listen and you do and whatever it is. Man, it's just a weird space to be in when I look at these young people. Then I look at other countries and what these young people doing in other countries and how they really are preparing for the future and really got something going on, you know? And then I look at our society and it is just a mess. You got young people doing good things. You really do got young people doing good things out here in society. And it's not all bad. So I'm not saying the generations are all thrown away, but a lot of them are. A lot of these young guys are. And I really do think it has to do with our education system. It also has to do with the economy and how people are benefiting from the economy or not benefiting from the economy. And it finds them having to live and be and survive in a certain area of the country versus if they had a chance or have means and resources to do other or live other places. So it's a quandary that people find themselves into, and then they find themselves sucked into this culture of gang life, because the gang life fills a lot of the housing areas where people tend not to have incomes that can support themselves to get safer communities. Man, it's just weird to me, man. And I know this podcast, like I said, it didn't start off like I thought it was going to start off, because I wanted to talk about this first. I got other issues I wanted to mention during this podcast, but if I sound like I'm just like shocked, I'm not shocked. I remember years ago, like in the 90s, I met a guy and he lived in Moreno Valley, California. And I remember when I first started going to the West Coast, early 90s, I ran into, some gang guys. I didn't have any issues with them. They wasn't like doing no gang activity towards me, anything like that. But they kind of told me this is what they do. I had no idea that at this point gangs will be so prevalent all over the place. I had no idea. I didn't understand what it was to be in a gang. I didn't understand the whole concept of being in a gang because, like I said, I'm an independent type of person. And I always, took care of my own situations, And so I didn't know what that was. But coming up and growing up and watching it develop in our communities, and it's untethered and it's really splintered all over the place. It's nothing the same. It says one thing, but it's really something else. And, you got your Crips, your Bloods, your Vice Lords, your Latin Kings, all the other groups. There's so many groups. But each group has its own identity and how they communicate and how they see themselves, But one of the most vicious gangs is the MS-13. And the MS-13 is a gang like no other. Like no other. There's no gang in the country or on the planet that got more members, and that's a fact. These guys are much more violent than any of them combined. And the MS-13 is known for chopping off heads. And that's a fact. They love using a machete. They have no problem using a machete. They have no problem stabbing, cutting, maiming, harming some kind of way physically, not with a gun, but with some type of blunt object or a sharp weapon. And I asked myself, while all this is going on in our communities, how do we resolve this and try to turn back some of this violence, or turn away from some of this violence, or heal some of our community so this violence don't continue to grow out of control? And I don't know what the answer is. If you got the answer, then tell me. Put it in the comments. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if it's a political answer. I don't know if it's part of the community have to get together and start, healing. I don't know what it is. I really don't know. It's a weird space to be in, man. It's like we're living in like a slow motion movie, like slow mo. And I'm seeing this stuff, and I'm like, why are these people killing each other? What is going on? And why aren't these young people out here grinding, competing, really riding the revolution wave of technology? It's so much they could be getting into. And why are these communities not being included in all these revolutionary, not the revolutionary, that's not the right word, but all these amazing developments in technology and business? And why is not anybody, why don't we have any kind of programs or people or corporations or anything plugging into these young people and just filling their head with this knowledge so they can use it to continue to grow our economy? Why don't we have anybody there? I don't get it. I don't get it. It's the weirdest thing, because we need these young people. We need these young people to really embrace these new technologies, these new jobs, these new opportunities. We need them to step into these roles, and we need them prepared. We need them trained, and we need to figure out how to do that. We need to figure out how. And I come to the conclusion that that's going to be one of my goals for the remainder of my life. I'm going to try to figure out, how do I include myself in offering opportunities to these young people, these young, affected, dangerous communities that don't have resources, don't have relationships, don't have connections, don't have any of these things. I'm going to make it a priority for me to work with my clients and develop a program to reach these young people and try to turn this thing back around. And it's going to take people like me and you. If you're out there and you're capable and you have relationships and you know about communities that you feel safe in going into, and try to introduce people to technologies and opportunities and career advancements, then that's what you need to do. And sometimes, your efforts don't always have to have a check attached to it. You have to do it because you love your community. And if I can help one person, create themselves a career by gaining a skill, then I'm good with that. But what I'm not going to do is do nothing. What I'm not going to do is do nothing. I think there's enough of people out there right now doing nothing. And that's why we see what we see. So it's time for us to get back involved in our community. And I'm going to be the first one to do it. I'm not going to ask about it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to just do it. And I'll tell you the progress. I'll tell you how I work out. I'll tell you my approach. I'll talk about how I re-engage and how I included, relationships that I have in the business community, and how I tie them into, supporting communities that I come from, and helping young people gain critical skills to develop themselves to have a chance in the marketplace. And that's what I plan on doing. So keep looking around for that. LifeSecondChance.com is going to be my nonprofit. So if you get a chance, go to life, the number 2, ndchance.com. That's the website. The website is launched already. It's going to be my nonprofit, LifeSecondChance.com. And we have to start stepping up in our communities to support each other. And we can't wait for programs to just show up. We have to create our own programs. We have to create our own way. We have to use the resources we have, the relationships we have, and the opportunities we have, and try to bridge those gaps. Because if not, we're going to lose so many generations of young people that it's going to be disgusting. Now, switching gears. Switching gears, man. What are we talking about here? So, the National Guard member that just recently had been indicted and charged and jailed for releasing secrets on Discord, a video platform or a social media app. 21-year-old Texera, he'd been locked up back in May for, espionage or, whatever it is. Not necessarily espionage, but he'd been locked up for releasing these documents and, mishandling secret information or whatever the case is. So he went to court yesterday and he asked the judge, he said, hey, man, I should be on the street, man. He said, I should have bond. I should be on the street. It's just what it is. He said, listen, Donald Trump ain't got to sit in jail. Donald Trump ain't have to put up no bond. Donald Trump get to run around all over the country. And, oh, yeah, Donald Trump ain't have to give up his passport. So why am I sitting in jail? Why am I sitting in jail if Donald Trump ain't got to sit in jail? And that's a valid question. That is an absolutely valid question. Why is he sitting in jail if Donald Trump don't have to sit in jail? Why? Tell me why. I'd like to know. Who can answer that question? Why is our young military soldier sitting in jail for sharing secret documents, but yet our president, or former president rather, is roaming the streets like it ain't nothing happened, throwing shots at the judges all day long, making the judge feel like he's not in charge, and they haven't even taken his passport. Did you know that? Did you know that Donald Trump still have his passport? They didn't even ask him to give up his passport. They said a young soldier is a flight risk, but they don't feel that Donald Trump is a flight risk. The man that has foreign property all over the world is not a flight risk. The man that have more resources than the soldier is not a flight risk. The man that has foreign relationships with other world leaders that will protect him is not a flight risk. Huh? Come on now. What's going on here? What is going on here? Why is not Donald Trump in jail right now? Why isn't Donald Trump in jail right now? Why isn't Donald Trump required to give up his passport? Why? How can this happen? How can this be justice? How? This man got charges all over the place. He's being accused of everything he's done. We know what it is. Now he's starting to finally get charges. Why is this guy not locked up? I don't understand it. I don't think the young soldier should be released or out on bail. I just don't think Donald Trump should be out on bail either. So let's lock this man up. Let's put this man in jail. Let's take his passport and let's protect our country from the national secret, the nation's secrets he can spill. He probably already done it. The man's on the phone. The man is showing people. It's just too much. It's too much. It's just too much. We have to do something about this. We can't ignore this. We can't sit up there and say, look, we're not going to do it because, no, we have to do something about this man. It just had to be done. Yeah. It has to be done. And the judges are saying, I think Donald Trump got a court date tomorrow. And, the storyline is this. The storyline is this, is that he got some problems. Yeah, he got some problems, man. He got some problems. He got some problems. I want to say so much, man, but I'm kind of filtered right now, deliberately. Thanks for checking out my podcast, man. Let me get back to you guys in a minute.